How do you maximize performance with your sales force? My name is Anthony Garcia, and I'm the host of the Catapulting Commissions podcast. Join me every week as we discuss topics such as performance or improving retention, and we do so by interviewing some of the top sales professionals and entrepreneurs around the world. Now, let's enjoy the show. Catapulting Commissions family, what's going on? Welcome back to this episode of Catapulting Commissions. I am your host, Anthony Garcia. So today's show is a little bit different. It's different because it's a monologue. What exactly does that mean? It's me by myself in my office delivering fire. I call it my office, my recording studio, the Think Lab, etc. Everything for the Anthony Garcia brand and the Catapulting Commissions brand has been designed and created in my home office. So I'm excited to be coming to you from here today to share some value. So one of the biggest questions that is often proposed to me is from entrepreneurs. Typically, I come across entrepreneurs that need help with sales. It goes hand in hand. Sales professionals have a skill set, a high income skill set. If you are in sales, you will always have a high income skill set. However, there's entrepreneurs that just don't know how to drive sales. They don't understand what it takes to be effective in sales. They want to drive revenue. They're phenomenal at marketing, but the ability to drive and generate sales, well, that is not exactly on the forefront. So every entrepreneur at a certain point in time should spend time being a sales professional. Matter of fact, I would argue that if you're listening to this show and you want to be an entrepreneur, meaning you want to work for yourself, you want to drive sales for yourself, if you want to be a sales entrepreneur or any entrepreneur, you need to start in sales. Start in sales in some shape, form, some capacity. We're going to talk about 3 reasons why you should start in sales before you embark on the journey of entrepreneurship. Now, let's talk a little about entrepreneurship before we start about the 3 reasons. Entrepreneurship is tough. It's brutal. It's unforgiving. It's lonely. You know, I look at the sales entrepreneurs or the entrepreneur itself, and you can go to Instagram and use the hashtag entrepreneur or hashtag growth mindset or something along these lines where you find entrepreneurs that are doing phenomenally well. And there's an image of entrepreneurship that is displayed in social media that gives false expectations of what is really happening. It doesn't happen this way. You don't say, hey, today I have a business, today I'm going to start, and all of a sudden, you have a $10 million business. It doesn't happen by mistake. There are no lucky accidents in entrepreneurship. It is a methodical approach to driving revenue with calculated gambles. That's entrepreneurship. There's no, hey, I got lucky, I had this phenomenal product, or I had this magic pitch. It doesn't really work that way. So, with that being said, it's important that the sales component of entrepreneurship is dialed in to a T. And here's why. The next time an entrepreneur comes to you and says, hey, can you help me with my sales process? Can you teach me something? Can you coach me on something? Here's the 3 reasons every entrepreneur should start in sales. Number 1, by being a sales professional, you learn the skill of tenacity. Entrepreneurs are going to get told no more than they're told yes. Entrepreneurs are going to drive around town to try to pitch, sell their product, their idea, their investment, their dream, only to find more people are going to tell them no. It's the era of competition. The competition for dollars and revenues, for someone to pull out a credit card and pay you for a product is higher than it's ever been before. Anytime you have a product, there's someone down the road, across the country, across the pond. You have competition in your niche space industry. The ideas of monopoly, if I'm the only one that can do this, are very slim. Unless you're Amazon, it's very slim. So I'll give you an idea here. If you Google SaaS companies or startup companies, you're going to find thousands upon thousands of companies. So why should we start in sales? Well, when you become tenacious, this skill of tenacity is what salespeople are known for. Matter of fact, it's well known in the sales world. It's a one big numbers game. The more calls I make, the more prospects I get in front of. The more prospects I present my product, the more sales I'll make. The more sales I make, the more revenue I'll create. The more revenue I create, the higher I get paid, et cetera, et cetera. This all starts with making more calls, which you don't hear, but it's the unwritten rule. I'm gonna get told no more than I'm gonna get told yes. I'm gonna get rejected. People are not gonna want to be my friend. I represent dollar signs. So going through this mental toughness when you're in sales prepares you for entrepreneurship. Think about the scary statistic of follow-up. When sales professionals have to follow up or give multiple phone calls or multiple visits to negotiate or close a deal, that's just doing your job, right? A skilled salesperson doesn't doesn't get frustrated saying, man, I've had to go visit this customer 4 times. I've had to visit this customer 5 times. I've had to do this extra research. I've had to make these extra emails. That's not what skilled sales professionals do. Skilled sales professionals know it's a numbers game. Here's the numbers for you. If you're listening, 80% of all sales are made after the 5th contact. 80% of all sales are made after the 5th contact. And I would articulate and argue that the higher the sale, the higher the revenue, the higher the commission, it's going to take more contacts. It's going to take more touches. It's going to take more tenacity. So in order for you to be successful in entrepreneurship, you have to have a thick skin. You have to have a backbone. Sales gives that to you. And another thing that sales gives you with is it teaches you how to work with the different personalities. You might be an introvert person. That might not be effective in your world. You might be an extrovert person. There might be times you have to be introvert or vice versa. When you're in sales, you develop the ability to work with multiple different people. And sometimes you work with people who you don't typically would talk to, who you wouldn't consider a friend, who you wouldn't have over for dinner, who you wouldn't go out and have a drink for. So you develop that thick skin of working with different personalities by being in sales. So entrepreneurs, number one skill you're going to develop by starting in sales is tenacity. You need it in order to be successful, in order to achieve at a high level. You need it. It's not optional. The second skill you'll learn by being an entrepreneur who starts in sales first is networking. A master salesperson is a master networker. No questions asked. We, as sales professionals, network with the best of them. And the gold medal network is typically the highest paid person in the room. Think about that. How does that manage? How does that relate to entrepreneurship? Well, if you're starting a business, someone has to know about your business. If you're going to put your name out to the market, you have to have someone who knows your name. The problem here is majority of businesses and entrepreneurs who start up have these great ideas, these great processes, these great thoughts. I just finished an interview with Scott Sambucci on the Catapulting Commissions podcast, and he made a good point. And if you haven't listened to the episode, go back and listen to it. It was the episode we just played last week. Scott Sambucci had made the statement that in startup companies, typically the founders are science-based, right? Engineers, mechanics, coders, you name it, right? They are not sales professionals. They're not naturally, hey, I grew up with the gift of gab, I can sell you anything, which, by the way, is a big old crock and a lie that people sell you. No, there is no such thing as a natural born salesman. There is no such thing as the natural gift of gab. It develops. It's a skill that gets developed over time, just like coding, just like writing programs, just like finance, just like anything. It's a skill. So typically, to become a networking professional, a networking expert, you have to find an industry that's going to force you to do that. And sales forces you to network, right? If you are in the B2B world, You will attend Chamber of Commerce meetings. You'll attend professional industry trade meetings. You find ways to get in front of your prospects. If you're in sales in a different type of industry, you can attend medical associations. If you're trying to sell your own product, your own service, because that's your career, you attend alumni evenings or alumni events, meetups. You are doing something in some capacity with networking. And entrepreneurs need to network. Sales forces you to network. And when sales is forcing you to network, the idea of walking up to somebody and just saying, "Hi, I'm Anthony, how are you doing?" That's not enough. There's a strategy in going with networking. I always tell people who work with me, I don't waste motion, and networking's emotion. I don't have conversations without an ulterior motive. I don't go to events without an ulterior motive. It sounds horrible to say, but you know what? I'm here to make money, and that's the honest truth. So if I'm at a networking event, it's because I want to move one-way direction in my business, one-way direction in my career. Same thing with conversations, same things with starting conversations out of thin air. So, sales professionals, masters at networking. Entrepreneurs, you need to do the same thing. Nobody is going to support and buy your business because you have a great idea. They're not. It'll get interest. They'll be like, "Oh, that's awesome." But you have to get out there, shake some hands, kiss babies, be a politician for your business. That's what a successful entrepreneur will do. That skill set is what you learn, develop, hone, and practice by starting in sales. I remember the very first networking chamber event I went to as a young sales professional. I think I was 23 years old, 24 maybe, terrified and nervous. And I would just start walking up to people and introducing myself. And at the time, I was looking for business bankers. That's it. I wanted business bankers to refer their clients to me. They had no idea who I was. They had no idea what I did. And then once they learned who I was and what I did, they had no reason why. There was no valuable reason why you should refer me, or at least I thought, right? But I remember showing up to the event, seeing the room, and saying, "Okay, I'm here. I have from 6 to 8 p.m. on this Wednesday night to mix, mingle, pass out some business cards, get some names." That's what sales does. And I was held accountable to it because I had a revenue number I had to hit. So it's really easy to make yourself uncomfortable in sales when you have a quota. It's not so easy to make yourself uncomfortable when you're an entrepreneur and you work for yourself, because then you can justify why I don't have to go to this networking event, why I don't have to go and have a conversation. So here's a quick strategy for networking. If you're not really comfortable with the idea of networking or starting up a conversation out of thin air, here's a few strategies to carry a conversation. Number one, people love to talk about themselves. Have a conversation about somebody else, about themselves. Allow that person to talk to you about their business. I used to use the P's: people's, pets, parents, places, presents. Just go with the P's. As people start to talk to you about things that are going on in their life, have a genuine interest and carry a conversation. That conversation is fairly easy to start at a networking event. You walk up to somebody, you say, "Hey, Billy, my name's Anthony. So tell me about your business. What do you do?" That's it. You just started a conversation. Billy tells you, "Hey, I own a restaurant down the street. I've been in business for 24 years. Wow, 24 years? That's awesome. Do you have multiple locations? Are you pretty dominant in one?" "No, I kind of like the one." "Awesome. What do you hope to get from coming to these meetings?" Right? We are having conversation. I can follow it up about, "Tell me your favorite recipe that's coming up." I can talk to them about, "Tell me about big parties that they're having planned that's going to keep their staff full." Whatever the situation is, just start the conversation. Simple talk track. "Hey, I'm Anthony. Tell me about your business." That's how you start a conversation at networking events. It's not hard. It's not hard, but it's nerve-wracking because we're like, what if someone rejects us? Well, we're sales professionals. We get rejected. I'm used to it. You can't tell me no that's going to make me feel uncomfortable. No. Okay, I'm going to move forward. As an entrepreneur, though, if I don't start in sales, I justify why not having to do these actions. Hey, I wanted to take a quick minute and interrupt this episode for a second. I hope you're enjoying what you've heard thus far. Are you a sales professional, or do you manage a team of sales professionals? I imagine you know someone who struggles with complacency. I'm talking about the sales rep who has all the tools to be a top performer, but just can't seem to get past the mental hurdle that is holding them back. I completely understand, and I relate with you. That is why I've created a detailed approach on how to get out of this stage of complacency and put yourself in position to achieve your next sales goal. Be sure to visit my website, catapultingcommissions.com. Once there, you can find the link to pick up a copy of my international best-selling book, Catapulting Commissions. Now, let's get back to our show. And the third reason, probably the most important and my favorite reason, you should start your career as an entrepreneur by starting a career in sales. The art and skill of persuasion is learned, practiced, and mastered. There is no such thing as a natural salesperson. The idea that there is a natural salesperson that is a natural born seller, you've always had the gift of gab, you could sell anything. As a matter of fact, I even wrote about it in my book. I cringe when people tell me, oh, I could do what you do. I could sell anything. Really, you can. Good for you. High five. However, the most successful top tier sales professionals that I know and that I work with, man, we practice. We practice hard. We practice when no one's looking, late nights, early hours. Sound familiar? That's entrepreneurship. You practice, but in sales, you practice the skill of persuasion. And one of the key traits of all entrepreneurs is the ability to persuade a decision-making process. You can have goal setting, you can have financial management, you can have interpersonal skills, you can have leadership skills, you can be a visionary. All of these things are great, but the number one thing entrepreneurs need to have is the ability to persuade people to make a decision in their favor. Now, let's be clear. I'm talking persuasion, not manipulation. I've been a big believer of persuasion, not manipulation. So much so that when I have conversations in my personal life, I joke with people, I'm like, I'm not here to manipulate. I'm here to lay out the facts and have you make an educated decision. That's persuasion. Manipulation is lying. So you want to be an entrepreneur? Start with sales because you learn the skill of persuasion. The psychology of sales is simple. People buy for one of two reasons, pain or pleasure. They want to avoid a pain or they want to experience pleasure. I don't care how expensive or inexpensive the product is. People purchase for one of two reasons, avoid a pain or experience pleasure. And if they're purchasing to experience pleasure, they typically justify their purchase after the fact. Your job is to create a picture of pleasure. That's it. We can be selling widgets. We can be selling enterprise software sales. At the end of the day, we're avoiding the pain or we're selling a pleasure. That's the psychology. That's the persuasion we're looking for. And that is what you learn by starting in a career in sales. Entrepreneurship doesn't necessarily teach you that right away. Entrepreneurship is going to force you to learn some of these traits. And I'll tell you one thing. I'd rather learn the challenges and the mistakes of sales while being employed or paid by a sales company than risking on my own dime, right? As of this recording right now, I own 3 businesses that I've invested a significant amount of money, time, and energy into. I wouldn't have made those investments if I wasn't 100% confident in my ability of persuasion. That's what you get by starting in sales first. Because when you start in entrepreneurship first, the room for error is small. You ever come across an entrepreneur that is in such a rush to make money, they forget to deliver a valuable service or a valuable product? I just had a conversation on a mastermind call about a week ago, and I was listening, and one of the masterminds that I work with is Peter Voog in the Game Changers Academy, and he made a statement that entrepreneurs rush to make money without building a following. They rush to make money without delivering so much value first. And the funny thing about that mantra I learned from Peter, and I've been executing it myself. I deliver so much more value than what I charge for right now in my services, products, or books. You can take my course, you can purchase my book, my workbook, my audiobook. I promise you they're underpriced. But you can also just follow my video blog and the free Catapulting Commissions podcast and hear about 90% of the goods that I'm going to deliver. I intend it that way because over the long run, the skill of persuasion is built by delivering value. The skill of persuasion is built by knowing people say yes to one of two things: avoid a pain or experience a pleasure. And you learn that persuasion in sales. Can't say it enough. So 3 things you need to do, or 3 things you learn and get from starting a career in sales: tenacity, networking, persuasion. Those 3 skills are what you will need to be a successful entrepreneur. And those 3 skills you can learn by starting a career in sales. If you don't know where to start with your career in sales, shoot me a DM. I can help guide you in the right direction. But if you're going to go straight to entrepreneurship, acknowledge those 3 skills you need to learn. I'm not saying you can't do entrepreneurship without sales first. I'm just saying it's going to help you in the long run. Tenacity, networking, persuasion. 3 skills you need in entrepreneurship, 3 skills you learn in sales. Well, Catapulting Commissions family, thanks for joining me on this monologue episode. Be sure to tune in next week. We bring best-selling author Jamil Frazier to come and discuss his new book, which is beating up the charts on Amazon right now. We'll talk about Jamil. For those of you that name sounds familiar, Jamil was on an earlier episode. He's released 2 books in 2020, and his plan is to release 4. And at the time of this recording and airing, we're middle of the year, so he has some work to do. But we bring Jamil Frazier back. We dive in and we dig in on what valuable bombs Jamil's going to drop. He talks about how we're going to make a shift that's going to help us take our income to that next level. And I'm going to pick that and pull that out of his brain next week. Thanks for joining me, family. I'll see you guys on the next one. Well, that does it for today's episode on Catapulting Commissions with Anthony Garcia. If you found some value in today's show, please be sure to head over to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. Don't forget to subscribe to Catapulting Commissions. That way you get notified of new episodes every week. Lastly, please take a screenshot of today's show and share it on Instagram. Every week, I'll be giving away a signed copy of my best-selling book to one person who tags me at Anthony P. Garcia 99 and includes the hashtag Catapulting Commissions. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to helping you achieve higher commissions.